How's it going, everybody? NCS Master here. Hope you're all doing well. And yeah, this is a little different. Been a hot minute since I've just done a video like this where just talk directly to the camera, just shoot around about a topic that's going on. And this is just a video I wanted to kind of make off the cuff just because there was a topic I felt like discussing here. Don't worry, this isn't just going to be like what I'm doing every video from now on. I still got the Metroid video in production, if you saw in my community tab. Got the script all written. It's gonna be a little bit. That one's gonna be it's a long one, but I'm looking forward to making that one. Hope you guys look forward to it as well. I'm hoping to make that a real good video, but wanted to make this video here just because there was a game that came out that really got me thinking about a topic that's just been going around in gaming over the past couple years or so now, and it's been a flop that cannot be understated here. So for those out of the loop, PlayStation actually just released a brand new game the past couple days called Concord. It's been in development for a long time under Firewalk Studios, a company they just purchased within the past couple of years. And it's been going around in like showcases for PlayStation. They've been putting out trailers for it over the past year. And the game finally just came out recently in later August. And safe to say, things have not been looking good for it. So to give just a brief overview for those out of the loop, Concord is this 5v5 hero shooter with the live service model in mind built into it. It's a part of PlayStation's like moves that they've been doing to put out a lot of live services, like Helldivers 2 was part of that. They put out, like, I remember news that they wanted to do something like 12 over the course of a few years, which, no, don't do that. That is way too many. Granted, one live service is way too many, but yeah, no, way too much. And Concord is considered the latest entry in that move, and yeah, it is not like Helldivers 2 in its reception. Oh, it's not good.
Well, we're fucked.
So yeah, as you can see, game just came out a few days ago at the time I'm recording this, August 23rd of this year, under Firewalk, published by PlayStation. And yeah, it looks like the pretty standard hero shooter structure. Nothing much is overly bad about this game, all things considered. It's got, mostly positive, which, that could be better, but not the worst on at least the Steam reviews. Only, a small sample size here, but things aren't all looking the best on other fronts. For example, if I go over here to Metacritic, decent critical response, 66, not the worst, but yeah, that, yikes, 2.8, oh boy. But it feels like that review score is just a lot more general unhappiness with what type of game this is, which is really why I wanted to make this video in the first place. Concord really feels like a sticking point on how people are just tired of the live service model with video games in particular, and this feels like a damning example of how folks are just like, no, we're done. We don't want this anymore.
It's time to stop!
Because when I say this game flopped, I am not kidding. This game, dead on arrival, gets thrown around a ton when it comes to games nowadays if they don't have large player bases, but it cannot be overstated just how bad the player base is for this. Like, over here, look at this. Concord, 660 players, all-time peak. For a multiplayer live service shooter, that is abysmal. That literally is dead on arrival. This is within the launch week. Only a few hundred in the past day or so. It couldn't even break 700 for its all-time peak on launch day. And launch day is when the most people will be playing the game. It's very hard to get above launch day numbers for games like this. So that right out of the gate is just a damning indictment that I would be shocked if this game even makes a year, quite frankly, with numbers like that. And Concord really for the last while has just not gotten good reception whatsoever. Like the launch trailer here, thanks to the plugin I have to show YouTube dislikes, like it's literally like look at this. It 1.6k likes to 16,000 dislikes. And then if you go over here to just a general gameplay trailer that was put out about 2 months ago, 64,000 dislikes. That is a YouTube apology number of dislikes. that is Concord must have busted out the ukulele for that one because holy shit, that ratio. And the thing with Concord is, like, from those who have played it, it's really not even a terrible game. It's just so uninspired by this point that, you know, a 5v5 live service hero shooter that's already such an oversaturated market that if you try to get into it, not only are people getting so sick of live services just on a base level, but there's several big, like, hero team-based shooters that people have already put so much time into or already have an established fan base. Why would they jump onto this one in particular? Especially considering that Concord is $40. This is not a free game. You have to pay $40 in order to get in to even play this game, which when you see it has numbers like this, that only makes that price tag an even harder sell, because why would you drop $40 if this is what you can look forward to? It really was just not a good idea to have this game cost anything, which I know, yeah, video games, of course, a lot of money goes into them nowadays, especially under Sony's banner, like, my God, Spider-Man. Holy shit. But the hero shooter live service genre has gotten people so accustomed to being free to play that it's such a harder sell to get people to actually drop money for it. Like, if someone, just a random person, is like, oh, I want to try a live service hero shooter, why would they go for Concord when they have to drop $40 on it and see, like, if they can even get a game or, get into a game with those player numbers, and if they like it or not, when, Valorant is free, Paladins is free, Apex Legends is free, even Overwatch 2, for as much of a shit show as that IP is now.
You are a factory of sadness!
It is at least free. So if someone wants to try it, they can at least dip their toe and see, do I like this or not, without feeling like they have to blow money on what they could potentially not end up enjoying. And again, I think so much of the wider disdain for this game, like the terrible Metacritic score, is more so just people are done with this type of game. They have no interest in it anymore, especially with the live service model where people are just so sick of it because they just want complete games now. They don't want to have to wait for a seasonal roadmap or hope that a game will get better with updates down the line or feel they have to keep logging back into a game over and over and over again to get the most out of it. They just want a complete experience. Because even other live services from this year, like Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, this game has completely lost its player base. And I guarantee you, I bet good money that this game ends up on a ton of people's worst games of 2024 list come December. This game, even it had 13,500 for its all-time peak. Concord, that's like what, like 4 or 5% of an all-time peak. And again, this is going to be among the worst games of the year. That just puts this, oh dear God. And I do feel somewhat bad for the developers at Firewalk because, this game has been in development for 8 years. They have clearly put a lot of time into this game. They wanted to try and make it something, but I feel like a big issue with it is that they went into making this game at a time where they were trying to chase a trend, and now that trend has long since passed. Because think about it, in development for 8 years, you go back 8 years, when was that? That was 2016. What happened in 2016? Overwatch. You see where I'm going with this. I think it's very safe to believe that Firewalk saw what was going on with Overwatch at the time and how that was creating this big renaissance for this type of game, because Overwatch was really big back then and people still really enjoyed it. And a lot of people, much like Firewalk, tried to jump on that bandwagon. But a lot of games, even in the immediate wake of Overwatch, even in years like 2018 and 2019, were putting out a lot of live service hero shooters, and they flopped because it was already becoming an oversaturated market by then. And now, 5 years on from that point, it's even worse, where there's so many that have already established themselves, and even more people are just tired of the genre being shoved down people's throats to chase the next trend. As a lot of people have pointed out, it's very similar to when all those big MMOs ended up popping up in the wake of World of Warcraft back in 2004. Just chasing a trend is one of the worst things you can do when making a game, because you're trying to tap into a market that already has an established game or games to it, so you've got to try to pull those people away from that game they're already invested in to come to your game, which it's a lot harder to do that once there has already been something established, whether it be World of Warcraft or Overwatch. And it's much harder with multiplayer games, because at least with single player games, people will play the game, they'll beat it, and then they may come back to it eventually, but they'll move on to something else after a while. So that's why you see single player game trends like, say, open world games, those last so much longer, because, if you're done with Breath of the Wild, you can move on to Elden Ring or Horizon Forbidden West and the like, because, you beat the game. You're not going to be sticking to log on to that over and over and over again, which is also part of the problem with the live service model. These games almost expect you to treat them like a second job. Like, you have to log on every single day, gotta do your daily missions, you gotta make sure not to miss these big special items that we have only for a limited time, or else you're gonna miss out on them forever, so you gotta keep up with it. It's the sunk cost fallacy. You gotta keep putting stuff in over and over and over again to get the most out of it, and the more you put in, the more you feel the need to keep coming back to it, because I've already invested so much into this, it'd be bad if I stopped, because then all that time and money would just go to waste. And the thing is, I don't think all live services are immediately a bad thing. There have been some that people have genuinely loved. I mean, hell, Team Fortress 2, that's been around for 15 years at this point? That can be considered a live service by how that game is structured with the constant updates, and that's one of the most beloved first-person shooters of all time. People truly do love that game and still do, even if Valve doesn't. My God. But that one partially became so beloved, and I think people still really enjoy it because it doesn't ask you to just stay devoted to this singular game, because that's how so many live services are designed now, especially with these hero shooters. They want you to just stick to these singular games. They want to draw in people who will only devote themselves to a singular title, like the people who will only ever play like Madden, Call of Duty, Fortnite, and the like. They want to be where this one game, it's all that you need, and it's all you will ever play. It's all, give us all your money because you will be the pay pig for us. And it's just, For someone like me or other people who want to play a bunch of other games, there's zero interest in something like that, especially one that expects you to devote so much time and energy to it. And I'll fully admit, there are some live services that I even play now that I do enjoy. Like, hands up, I'll just admit it. Earlier this year, and I still play it now, I got into Goddess of Victory Nikkei. And now, I know, I know, I know. But listen, that game, it has a good story, it has good writing, there is legitimately good music in it, and you don't believe me, D. God damn it.
Damn, boy!
But no, seriously, that game does have weirdly good writing. And that is also a live service type game. It's constantly getting updates and getting new characters and all that. But part of the reason why something like that, I actually enjoy it, is because it's a simple game. Like, I can just log into it, play for like a half hour a day just to kill some time, and that lets me complete any sort of missions I would want to do, or like if I want to advance a story anymore, and that's perfectly enough for what the game would ask of you. Whereas these live service games that are like these big shooters or console experiences, they want you to put hours into them. They want you to grind away or spend a ton of money on them just to get the most out of these games, which, like I said, it's like a second job. Like, when you're done with your 9 to 5, they want you right on that shit right after you're done with work and putting like 3 to 4 hours of that every day. And it's just like, nobody wants a second job. And I feel like the timing of Concord couldn't have been any more damning than by the fact that it came out right alongside another game that has way more people interested in it, Black Myth Wukong. Because if we compare Concord's numbers of peak all-time players to Black Myth Wukong's peak all-time players, just play the Simpsons meme.
Stop! He's already dead.
Like, look at this, 2.5 million. It can't be understated. Now, granted, this game is very much a bit of an exception to this with numbers this high because China is absolutely in love with this game and the Chinese fan base is all over it. That's why you have these constant dips in the player numbers, because these low points, when it's only about 200,000, that's when people in China are going to sleep and not playing this game. But even then, looking at the low points, you got like 300,000, 200,000. Like, that is still incredible. And why are people interested in something like this? Because it's a single player game that is fully complete, and that's what people want right now. They want these fun, interesting single-player games. That's why all the big games you hear of nowadays, the past several years, what have they been? They've been, Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, Elden Ring. You've got Baldur's Gate 3 is primarily meant to be a solo game, but can be played co-op multiplayer. You've got Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Spider-Man 2, God of War Ragnarok. Like, these are the types of games that people want. They just want a game where they can just sit down, have fun, know it's complete, and again, not have to put hours and hours in every single day because damn you, sunk cost fallacy. And there really is a lot more I could go into covering live services because Lord knows this topic is not going away anytime soon, especially as live services continue to die off as the years go on. I mean, we saw last year things were really starting to get bad for it. We've seen so many just shut down and die, or we've had ones that have come out even just within the past year or so and just have abysmal player numbers right out of the gate, like Redfall or Skull and Bones or Babylon's Fall, God forbid. And I probably will make a more extensive discussion video about live services at some point in the future, but I really just wanted to go over Concord because of just how, again, bad of a situation this game in particular was. It didn't even hit quadruple digits on its player count on Steam. Like, I know it has the PlayStation numbers as well, but if I'm at Firewalk, and I hate to say it because it's, you know, it's a damn shame that this has become such a trend in the game industry now, I would genuinely fear for my job if I was at Firewalk. And again, I hate saying that because that shouldn't have to be the case. But, you know, there's going to be more live services that come out, and it's honestly just for the best if these keep failing. You know, not that I want people to lose their jobs or worry about, you know, not being employed anymore, but because the industry just needs to learn, we're done with this shit. We don't want it anymore. Just make genuinely good video games and people will show up for them. I mean, remember when EA was like, oh, nobody plays single player games anymore. And then look at what Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor have done for them. It's like, duh. Just make a high quality game. People will enjoy it. They will talk about it. You will get your money from people buying these games. Trust me, there's plenty of examples. I mean, how many of those games earlier that I listed off have like just bonkers sales numbers? Live services are never truly gonna die. I mean, like I said, there is some place for them, but just stop making so many of them. And if you do want to make one, please actually make it worth people's time and don't expect them to invest half their life into it. You'll actually get some people who are interested then in that case. And no more hero shooters. That genre is just, it's done. Nobody even likes Overwatch anymore. We don't even, like, the game that started it all is just, it, oh my god, like, literally, like, what do people watch that for or care about that game for? I'll tell you what they care about it for. It ain't for the gameplay. Anyways, that'll be it for today's video, guys. Thank you again so much for watching, and if you would rather spend your money on a better game coming out later this year, please consider Peak Fiction instead.